All right, today we're going to talk about a piece of tech that has absolutely turned cloud computing on its head, AWS Lambda. We're talking about a genuine revolution that frees developers from one of their biggest, oldest headaches.
But, before we get into the nuts and bolts, let's just start with a simple question. Seriously, just imagine for a second. What if you could spend 100% of your time writing amazing code that solves real problems, and never, ever have to worry about the actual computers it runs on?
Because, let's be real, traditionally, even with the cloud, managing servers has been a massive pain. It's all that necessary but, frankly, boring work you have to do before you can even get to the fun part.
Now, don't get me wrong, services like Amazon EC2 were a huge leap forward. It's what we call infrastructure as a service, which basically just means you can rent virtual computers instead of buying and racking physical ones. It gave us so much flexibility, but it didn't magically make all the work disappear. That developer to-do list was still pretty long.
So on the left, you see the old reality. You've got to pick out a server, you've got to install security patches to the operating system, set up firewalls, figure out what happens when you get a sudden flood of users, and you have to constantly keep an eye on it to make sure it's not about to crash. And on the right, well, that's the dream, isn't it? Just write code and run it.
Okay, so let's dive into the solution. Because this exact problem is why AWS Lambda was created. It's a service literally built to make that developer's dream on the right a reality.
And here it is, the core idea. AWS Lambda is a serverless compute service. Now, there are two phrases there that are absolutely crucial. First, without provisioning or managing servers, and second, you pay only for the compute time you consume. That one-two punch is what makes this a complete game changer.
Now, let's clear something up right away. That word serverless can throw people off. It doesn't mean servers have magically disappeared into thin air. Of course, they're still servers. The key difference is they're not your problem anymore. AWS manages all the hardware, all the patching, all the scaling, all of it behind the scenes. You just get to focus on your code.
So how does this whole thing actually work? Well, it's based on a really elegant and powerful concept, an event-driven model. This is a totally new way to think about building your applications.
It's really just a simple three-step dance. First, something happens. We call that an event. It could be anything. A user uploads a photo, someone clicks the buy button on your app, or maybe some data comes in from an IoT sensor. Step 2, that event acts like a trigger, and boof! Lambda instantly wakes up and runs your code. And third, and this is the beautiful part, you only pay for the fraction of a second, we're talking milliseconds, that your code was actually running. If your code is doing nothing, you are paying nothing, zero.
I absolutely love this analogy because it makes the economic shift so clear. A traditional server is like owning a car. You're paying for it all the time, right? The car payment, the insurance, the parking spot, even when it's just sitting in the garage 95% of the time. Lambda, on the other hand, is like hailing a taxi or an Uber. You just get in, you go exactly where you need to go, and you only pay for that trip. All the other costs, the maintenance, the insurance, that's the taxi company's problem, not yours.
Okay, this all sounds great on a slide, but does it actually work for big, important, real-world stuff? You bet it does. The proof is in the incredible companies that are betting their businesses on it every single day.
Now get this. This is just amazing. iRobot, the company that makes the Roomba vacuum cleaner, they run their entire global cloud platform for all those little connected robots on Lambda. And the entire thing is managed by a team of fewer than 10 people. I mean, think about that leverage. That's incredible.
And it's not just about being efficient. It's about massive scale. Look at Thomson Reuters. They built a huge analytics service on a serverless architecture, and it just hums along, processing 4,000 events every single second. And it can easily handle way more of traffic spikes.
But hold on, the scale can get even more mind-boggling. FINRA, the organization that regulates the U.S. financial industry, uses Lambda to analyze, wait for it, 75 billion market events a day. They're using that insane scale to spot things like fraud and insider trading almost as it happens.
This ability to scale on a dime is also perfect for businesses with unpredictable traffic. Financial Engines, a huge investment advisor, has their main platform on Lambda. It can scale up to handle 60,000 requests per minute without breaking a sweat, and then scale right back down to zero. No one has to wake up in the middle of the night to add more servers.
And it's not just about handling huge volumes. It's also about being incredibly fast. The gaming giant Square Enix had a process for handling images in their online games that used to take several hours to run. They moved it to Lambda, and now it finishes in just over 10 seconds. Can you imagine the difference that makes for their players?
So when you see all these examples, you start to realize, what does this all mean for the future of software? It's not just a small change, it's a fundamental shift in how we think about building and running applications.
So let's just boil it down to the 3 huge benefits. First, the cost savings are real. You completely eliminate paying for servers to sit around doing nothing. Second, your team's efficiency goes through the roof. They can stop being server janitors and start being innovators. And third, you get this effortless, automatic scaling that just works, whether you have 1 user or 10 million.
So why does this matter to you? Well, because it means you can launch new ideas and features faster than your competition. It means you can build applications that are more robust and can handle anything. It means you spend less money on your infrastructure overall, and really, it all comes down to this. You get to innovate more and manage less.
So, I'm going to leave you with one final question to think about. Right now, as you're watching this, you've probably got some servers running somewhere. They're spinning, using electricity, costing money, just sitting there, waiting for something to do. The question that Lambda makes us all ask is, should they be?